Hey everyone, and welcome to our Tech Talk. We're going to go over the automation feature we just added. So I will turn it over to David.
All right, thanks. Okay, let me share my screen. All right. Can everybody see this?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So the whole automation thing is there's a couple things you kind of have to know about it. So first of all, it's in the admin under settings. It's called automation settings. And eventually we're going to build out all sorts of different automation stuff. And automation really just means something that runs in a background process, like at night type of thing. We've already got some automation. Obviously, the billing engine runs at night. Um, but this one, the first thing we're putting in here specifically has to do with routes. So some of the things you can automate with routes, you can enable optimization. So you can read up here about why you'd want to enable optimization. And there's this inject only, which means it tries to keep the route pretty much in the order that you've manually put it in, but it'll just inject new customers into it. Or sort always means it'll kind of bypass your rules, your sort, and it'll try to optimize it based on distance. And then there's this little route picker here. If you're kind of worried about, turning this on full bore, you can say, let me just try it on one route or two routes. And then when you get confident that it works, you can put it on all routes. So initially, this thing right here is only for route optimization, but we're actually going to move this probably down here and make this picker apply to all of the services, um, so that you can apply all of these services to just one route and see how it works. And then once you're comfortable with it, you can turn it on for all routes. So what we're going over today is definitely beta. Um, Part of the reason we're doing this tech talk is so that our QA team can learn how to configure this and test it. So that's optimization. That's optimization is just about getting the route in the best possible map sequence for servicing the customers, most optimal route. Okay, and then there's auto build routes, advanced empty routes, optimized service routes, and then there's auto send notices. Okay. So you can come in here, you can say, I want to enable auto build routes. And what that does, so before we even get here, let me go over some other stuff and then we'll come back and talk about this. In order to do auto build routes and auto send notices, you have to come in here and what's called create a build set and a message set. So a build set is strictly just about saying who is the driver and what truck are they in. So I'm just going to put both of Kathryn and I in here. We'll do it. We'll call it the David, Kathryn, David team. Okay. So what this is saying is here is a combination that we want to use when we build a route. Okay. So when you do that, for a small shop, a single driver, you probably only have one of these. But if you have multiple multiple drivers, multiple trucks, you can create multiple combinations, and you can put up to five person truck on it at the same time. So if you guys are paying attention, you could already see that if the person has the same last name, you can't see that. So somebody ought to log that issue. Okay, so you can come in here and you can select it and you can say this is going to be the default for all the routes. And if you do that, all of the routes in here that you have in the system are going to use that build set. You can override it one by one. You can come in here now for each route. You can have a build set, or you can use the tool that I was just showing you to set them on all of them. Okay, so let me go back to that. So if I select this checkbox and I set default build set, all of the routes are going to now be, you can now use this build set for these two people. Okay, so it updated 67 routes. And I'll show you what that means in just a minute. Okay, so we also have message sets. So you can add a message set and you can call it whatever you want. You know, messages, we'll just call it standard reminder messages. And then you choose a template. And the template you want to use, it can be SMS or email. So like these two right here, SMS morning of and SMS night before. So you can say, I want my morning of email to go out at 7 a.m. And the night before, I want it to go out at, let's say, 7 p.m. And this morning of is going to go out on the day of, and the night before is going to go out the day before. Okay. And you can do that for all the templates you want to send out as reminders. So let's say you have an email. So this one, Kathryn's got an email Sunday before. You can send that one out, let's say at probably in the evening would be best. Let's do 7:30 p.m. Sunday before. Okay, what these mean is day of is obviously the day of the service. Day before is the day before. Sunday before, it'll try to calculate the Sunday before the service. So let's say today is April 22nd. It would have sent this message out on April 20th for the route today. If I'm putting it on the 29th, it'll do the 27th. Okay, so it's just trying to schedule it for the Sunday before. And you can see there's all these options: day of, day before, 2 days before, Monday before, Sunday before. So this is what we're going out the door with. We us kind of surveyed some of our customers and found out how they're notifying people. We can easily add another option here, but this is what we're starting with. Okay. And you can't do more than, you can't use the same email more than once on this list, or at least you shouldn't be able to. So if you have, if this email template is kind of written for the Sunday before and you want to do the morning of, don't use the same email. Create a new template for the morning of. Okay. So now that you have the standard reminder messages, you can do the same thing. You can set that as the default for all the routes. Okay, so now all these routes have a standard reminder and a standard build. So now let's go back over. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to today's service route. This one right here, Dallas-Fort Worth area. When I come in to build it, the screen has changed just a little bit. So now you can click this load build set. Okay, so what I'm showing you, the message set and the build set are needed for the automation. But because we now have those, you can also manually use them here. So if I come in and I build this, I could say I want to use my standard build set, and you click this button and it'll reload. Whoops, that's a bug. That should have loaded Kathryn because she's in the build set. So it wiped her out there and didn't load her here. Okay. So I think Kathryn was in trailer one in my build set. So that's a bug. Okay. So anyway, that's what happens. You can load the build set. If you build this, any default messages tied to this will also get scheduled. Okay. So let me show you what that means. If I hit build here. Okay. So it built this one. And you know, because this will turn green, but it happens so quick that you have to kind of reload this list for you to see it. So let me go back here to the service screen. Okay, so it hasn't turned that green yet. So let's take a look at this. All right, so there's another bug. It's not scheduling those messages. So it should have scheduled the messages for that build. Is that the one I built? Yeah, that's the one I built. Huh. Or was it this one? All right, bug number two. So it should have created the messages um, to go out as a reminder for this route. So typically you wouldn't be building the route the same day of the route, and those messages would have time to get sent out. Okay. So this is new as well, this message service date. So by default, one of the challenges that all the customers out there have is they might build a route in advance for, so let's say the 4th of July. They want to service that route a week early because they want to take the 4th off. So they'll build the route a week early, but all of our message templates are going to use this date in the message template, which is going to be wrong because it's going to be a day. Um, it's going to be the actual build date of the route instead of the build day. So now you can come in and change the service day and say, okay, this is the day I was supposed to service the route, but I'm actually going to service it on this day. So now all of the messages will go out with a date of this date right here. So tomorrow, you know, the morning of, everything will be relative to this date instead of the route date.
Can you build, like, go set this up on a route for not today? Does the reminders turn green if it's in advance?
Oh, maybe that's why they didn't go out because it's already today. So let's do this one right here, 5/7.
Yeah, because
Good point.
the time is already in the past. So
All right, we still have that bug, but so let's try that one. So this is week 2 Wednesday. So remember that. There you go. Yep. So now you can go look at the date and you can see here's the email, the message jobs that are scheduled. Good point, Catherine. That's why they didn't show up is because that day was already today. It's too late to send the messages. Okay. Um, so that's a good point. If I change the day, maybe we should give you the option of scheduling the messages relative to the date since it's changed. But this one's even worse because this is my date's yesterday. Okay, so that's how that works. So these messages are now scheduled. You can see the template. You can see when they're supposed to go out. So that one was Sunday before. So let's make sure that's right. Yep, Sunday before is May 4th. Night before, 5/6. Morning of, 5/7. And then there's the messages. Okay. That's the manual part of this automation. So the point here is you can use your automation configuration both here in the default messages and in loading your drivers. Okay. All right. So let's go back to automation now. It's in the admin menu. Okay. So what auto build routes does is it will build all of the routes just like I manually just built them. It will build them automatically 1 week ahead of when they're supposed to be serviced. So that's what auto build routes does. It just builds them for you. Things that aren't going to work, and I hopefully explained them here. If the route is already built, it'll skip it. And if this is enabled and there's nothing to do on that route, it'll advance the route date. So in other words, if there's no customers to be serviced that day, advanced empty routes will just advance the route date. And then optimized service routes, if that's enabled, this one actually isn't implemented yet, but if it's enabled, it will optimize the service route. And then of course, auto send notices. If that's enabled, it'll build the route and then it'll auto send. It'll configure the notices to automatically send at the correct times. Okay, so hopefully there's enough information in here that you can read this and see what it's supposed to do. Okay. In terms of doing this, running this, so if I come in and put all routes right here, you okay if I turn it on, Kathryn?
yeah, go for it.
All right. If all I do is turn it on and hit save changes, then it'll schedule it for the next run, which would be basically tomorrow morning. It'd be at midnight tonight. If you hit run automation now, it's going to run all of this and set them all up. So if I hit run automation, a whole bunch of people are going to get notifications. So it takes a minute to run. You can just let the little gear run, but you have to manually hit reload. Okay, when you do that, you get kind of a summary of everything it did, this little report. So it'll say it optimized route 1T from 2026 to 2026. Okay, so one thing to know is your routes. So for example, right here, it didn't build week 4 Tuesday, or it didn't optimize it because you've got a customer on that route with a bad geocode. So it'll tell you all of these that you have a geo error on. So you do have to have your customers. You can't have anyone out in the Atlantic Ocean on these routes, otherwise it'll won't be able to optimize it. Okay, so you can see after trying to do all the optimize, it optimized 39 routes. It advanced 10 routes, so you had 10 routes that just advanced because there was nothing on them. And it created a service plan and a scheduled messages. So it created two service plans and scheduled the messages for those. Okay. So this is the kind of little report that happens. Currently, this doesn't go to anyone. We might add a feature down the road where this email goes out to some admin that will get the notice each night, can come in and deal with any problems. But you'll always see the last report here, and then you can also go to the audit log and see a history here. So it says auto. You can click it and look at all the events. Okay. So night after night, it'll create this report here in the audit log. All right, so let's go take a look at what it did. I wasn't paying attention to what it built, but it probably built this one. So it's going to build anything that was a week in advance, and it's exactly a week in advance. So I think it did, I don't know which ones it did here. We'd have to go back and look at the audit log. Okay,
Did it build any?
I think so. Said it did.
The report said built two routes.
Oh, two of them. Okay.
Let's go back and look at the audit log. So you can come back in here. So those are the two it built. Week 1, Tuesday, Utah County. Okay. Week 1, Tuesday, Utah County.
Oh, right up right there.
Oh, yep, right there. Okay. So I built the route. I don't know why it's only putting me on there. Didn't I create let me go back and look at that. Maybe I didn't get that right. Hmm. It's not picking you up for some reason, Kathryn. Okay, I'll have to figure that one out. Are you a driver?
I should be.
Okay. Anyway, got the idea. Any other questions? It should put tickets on there. It should do everything that this would do, it should do. So it's the same basic code that's building the routes. So it could get a little bit annoying because now you're going to have routes being built. Actually, eventually it'll probably just stop building routes because unless you're servicing them daily, you won't be able to keep up with it. So I don't know how many customers you have, Kathryn, in this enterprise. ton of them. So you'd have to go in and service all these every day to keep the route moving, keep the routes moving.
Mm.
So this has been something the customers have asked for quite a while, but I'm curious to see if they're going to actually be able to keep up with it or if they're going to end up turning it off and just using the manual build with this ability to schedule the default messages. That alone probably will save them time because that's time consuming to go set up messages every time you build a route. Um, anyway, so
So
I've already,
yeah, you don't have to use the auto build. You can just do messages only, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you don't have to use the auto build. One of our customers, this feature with the route optimization, let me go over that a little bit more with you guys. The route optimization right here. So the reason you'd want to have this turned on is there's several things that starts messing up your routes. For example, if you have a one-time customer, you might go in and organize your route with customer Bob, but Bob is a one-time customer. So the minute you move Bob off the route isn't going to be the same optimized as it was when he was on the route. So if you have a bunch of those one-time customers, the route's going to get a little bit fragmented as you service those customers. If you use a route sequence, um, the route sequence will move customers off the route and onto another route as you're servicing the customer. So you got two problems. The route they were on is out of sync, and the route they moved to is out of sync. So this route optimization will optimize both routes. Um, you might have optimized the route, and then the customer canceled the service, or you moved it to a different date or whatever. And then moving customers from one route to another without manually re-optimizing the routes. So these are some things that you can automate using this back-end process. The thing to remember is we're using distance sort. So let me go show you if you don't know what those terms mean. So if I came in here to my route, let's do this route right here has the total route distance is 2,000 miles. It's because there's probably a customer out in the ocean or something. Let's see. Let's look at the map. Okay. So this account, this route is a Dallas Fort Worth route, and you've got one customer clear over here in Salt Lake, so that's why that one's out of whack. Who's our Salt Lake customer? Huh. I'm not seeing it. Are you guys seeing it? Grapevine. Well, let's go back and look at the map again.
Oh, right there. Right. Well,
You see it?
well,
It's
no,
not
there's one
showing.
that says 939 miles.
I don't know why that address is bad. You must have hard coded a geocode on that customer, Catherine. Put them clear over in Provo. Or where is that? Denton, Texas. Okay. Anyway, point is, so if you come in here and you wanted to optimize this route, it's not going to do very well because of that one customer. But in fact, let's move that customer off. Who was it again? Did you guys catch it?
Kelsey Egon. It's like up, farther up. It's number 8.
8. Okay. So I'm going to move Kelsey Egon to a different route. Let's move to somebody else's problem. Okay, so now once I moved it, you can see this went down 163 miles. Okay, so let's look at the map. And if you turn on show blue lines, it'll give them numbers and it'll say where it's going to start. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, blah, 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 blah. So that looks pretty good. Okay. So distance sort means we just calculate the distance based on some algorithm used for calculating distance on the surface of a sphere. So the planet Earth is a sphere. Distance sort just calculates that. And that's probably what we use to calculate this 163. For both distance sort, so you can do manual sort. Manual sort is you come in here and you can say, all right, I want this customer to be the first one on the list. And I want this one to be the second. If you save that, you can see that's not a very good sort. It went from 163 to 196. But to do distance sort or street sort, you still have to specify who's your first customer. So let's go look at that now. So Bob Jones. So we still have Bob Jones here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So who do you think should be our first customer? Let's say that I'm actually down here in Benbrook. In your mind, who should I make the first customer?
Number 6.
6, yeah.
Okay.
If that, yeah.
All right. So what you do is you come in and you'd move number 6. Whoops. You do a manual sort and you'd move number 6 up to position 1.
That's a bug. I keep forgetting a log.
Yeah, that's a good one to bung. Okay. So now you can do either a distance sort or a street sort. So typically the distance sort is free. Street sort, there's two companies that we use here and OSR. They have limits. Both of them have limits. And usually they do pretty good, but sometimes they have problems. So what we're going to do first is a distance sort. So this is kind of how the crow flies. So let's go look at our map again. On a distance sort, it's going to hit the first customer, and then it's going to try to get the next closest customer. So it's probably going to try to put this person, which is Colleen Caldwell, at number 2 because it's closer. It doesn't look at miles. It doesn't look at toll roads. It doesn't look at bridges, or even if there was a lake right there, it would go right through it. So distance sort is good for small neighborhoods, but it's not good when you're going to be driving all over like this. This is probably, 100 miles across. But let's see what it does. So I'm going to go do a distance sort first. So you can see it put Colleen next. So if you do show blue lines, where the blue lines happens, we're using Google Maps to say, tell me how to get to these customers. So distance sort got us down to 147 miles, which actually isn't that bad. Street sort will take into account driving conditions and all sorts of things. So let's do a street sort now and see if it can get better. So we'll do continue with here. So it got to 151, but it's probably more realistic than our as the crow flies thing. So let's look at the map for street sort. It's probably about the same. All right, so the point to this is the automation is using distance sort. It's using this one right here. Now down the road, we might hook in street sort as the default automation thing. But if we're going out the door, it's going to be distance sort, and we'll probably encourage the customers to start off with um, inject only preserve if possible. Because a lot of them, the reason I say that is because a lot of the customers, especially the older ones that have been around for a while, they didn't have, when we first started, we didn't have the ability for them to optimize it at the service level. So they're not really used to it. They're used to coming in at the route and doing just what we did. They optimized the route over here. They'll optimize the route and then they want the service to match the route. Okay. Let me see if I can explain what I'm talking about here. If you look at this customer right here, or this route, week 1 Tuesday, 151 miles, the one we've just been playing with, you can see that there's a lot of customers that are not on a 4-week schedule. They're 4-week, 8-week, 12-week, 4-week, which means not all of these customers are going to be on the route the day we service it. Okay, so like this service day, April 22nd, this customer, this customer, this customer, that customer are all on the route, but these two are not. These two are in May. So even though we've optimized the route, we've opted we've optimized the route based on these two customers being on it, and they're not even going to be on it on the 22nd. So, but that's what all of our customers are used to. They're used to ignoring that problem, coming in, getting this route perfect, and then thinking on the day of service, it's still going to be perfect because that's how they've optimized it. The only way that's going to be perfect is if they drive from this person to this person, even if that person wasn't serviced that day. So there's always changes to the route. So that's what the route optimization does for you. But if they set it up the way they want it, and we just inject and remove customers and try to preserve the route that the optimization they've done manually, they'll be more happy with that. Okay. Because typically they know what they're doing better than the computer is what it boils down to. The enterprise customers have a better feel for the routes than any automated technology that we can build just because they're human beings. But they might get to the point where they trust the technology more if we can get it pretty nailed down. Okay. Clear as mud. Let me show you a few things here. You notice that this optimize right here always reflects what was the last optimization that was done. And you can see here's an inject, and all these others are auto. None just means it hasn't been optimized yet. There's also manual and street and distance. So there's different things that happen to optimize it. So with this auto, this is new. You'll be able to see the last thing that optimized that route. If you had it turned on for auto, it'll be the auto back process did it. Okay, and let's see how bad of a job it did on this one. So when you got scenarios like this where you've got a customer 4 states away, you're not going to get much optimization unless they start using this for planning airline deliveries or something. Okay, that's it. Any questions?
I might have some once I'm using it and playing with it.
Okay. Did you guys see the 2 bugs I showed you?
Yes, I wrote them down.
Let me wrote them down. Okay, good. Um,
When you do the, can you go back to the auto screen
the automation
or where you set them up
here.
under config
Okay. Which one?
and
Build sets or
mes
message?
message sets? So if you have different sets of messages, I noticed on the route screen there was only like it just made you checkbox to send all the auto sets. Does it send all the auto sets?
It sends
Does that make
all
sense?
it sends all of these right here. It
Okay.
doesn't send is the wrong word. It schedules them for the date and time that they're supposed to be sent.
But if for some reason someone had, like, you can add another message set there and you can have multiple message sets, right?
Yes, you can.
So when you select that little checkbox, would that just schedule every message set you have set up? Am I making sense?
It schedules every message. Okay, let me show you. Let's call this other. And right now, these message sets are only for reminders. We might overload these message sets down the road and use them for something else. So, for example, another automation we might do is automatically send out marketing messages to one-time customers after 6 months. So we might have a marketing. We don't need it now, but we might have a marketing message set that says, "Hey, come back in and come back for another service or something," and send out these marketing messages on a schedule. But for now, it's strictly reminder messages.
Okay,
So
so that's why there's just that one little checkbox that sends all of them.
yeah, that's the only
So
place it's used.
if you wanted to have like the message set SMS reminder messages and then another message set that said email reminder set messages, you could have two separate, right? And then those would all go out
You
to
wouldn't be
special.
able to, no.
Okay.
Based on what we've got set up right now, it's just one message set. You could have different message sets for different routes. I don't know why you would want to, but you might say maybe this route, um, for example, maybe it's a commercial route and you don't want to send SMS messages. You only want to send email messages on that route. That's the only reason you'd have multiple message sets.
But
Going
there
out,
wasn't an option to select that, was there?
yes, there are. Here, let me show you. And by the way, you can have more than three templates on here. So I'm just going to throw some stuff in here. This isn't very intelligent at all, but I'm just going to show you. So this message can be used by going to the route and configuring it to use that message set.
Okay.
So that's the only reason why you'd have separate message sets if you want to go into an individual route and say, I want to use a different message set for whatever reason. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a reason why any one of our existing customers would want to have multiple message sets, but down the
That
road,
that answered my question. I was wondering if you could do like all SMS and email, they would all send out, but you have to have basically just one
yeah, yep.
set. Okay.
Okay. The build set, obviously there's a bug there because it should have put both of us in there. So that one needs to get fixed. But by the way, this code is in prod. We pushed it out early. I know you guys haven't tested it. And we've already had one or two customers reach out and say, hey, what's this? Because the first thing they saw was the message date on the build. It's complex to teach, and I needed the message sets built ahead of time. So we went ahead and pushed it so Kathryn can start helping them build their message sets and manually use them if they want. But obviously, we have one problem here that we need to get solved. So for the build set. But this needs to be tested thoroughly. And the challenge with testing this, the big challenge with testing this is um, the map, this stuff here. Obviously, this one's easy to figure out, but a lot of the times, I mean, we've got customers in prod that know exactly if we mess up their service route. They're so familiar with it that even a big route like this, they can tell if it's optimized or not. For you guys, my advice is to see if the optimization is working correctly. Probably start with maybe 10 customers on the route, or at least kind of, really study it. This one goes one, two, three. Is that obvious? Oh, another thing I needed to show you is routes can have, I don't know if you've got them set up, Catherine, but routes can have a built-in starting point and end location. So Phillips Manor. So if you go over to, where do you set those up? I think they're under admin settings. Might be under text.
Is that the name of a customer?
No. Where is it, Catherine? Where do we?
It's on route, the starting location.
Yeah.
It's under routes and location.
Oh, locations. So under locations, you can come in and create a location. You have to have an address, and then that address will load with its geo coordinates, and then that gets included in the route optimization. You tell the any of the optimization settings that you want to start here and end here. So these are for, let's say all your trucks, you park them overnight at a specific shop. That's where you want to start the route from, is the shop, as opposed to the first customer on the route. So that's why you look at a route like this one. Let's go back and look at the map on this one. Oh, not this one. Come on, Catherine, clean up your routes. So you might, this is, this might be the first customer on the route, but you might have your truck shop might be up here. So you might want to start, you know, with this customer, then this customer, then that customer, then that customer, then back to the shop. Does that make sense? The shop itself becomes part of the route in terms of optimization. Everybody clear on that? Is that clear as mud? It's optional, so you might, some like her routes might not have it, but keep that in mind as part of your testing. I'm not sure how many customers are actually even using that in prod. Catherine, do you have any idea?
I do not.
Okay. Might be another feature that nobody knows about.
I know I've told some people about it, but it's kind of hard because when you use that, it changes. Like if someone wants to start far away from their location and work backwards throughout the day, it always optimizes from that starting point.
That's
So
true. That's true. It does.
I've,
That's why it's there.
yeah, so I've told people, yeah, I always tell them about it when I onboard them, but some people like to pick where they start each day instead of starting at the same spot every day. So I don't
Okay.
know if anyone's actually using it.
Okay. All
But
right. That's all I've got. Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to end the recording.